like I had it before. I had it before. We had it so good. You know, when Biden went to the beach all the time, he'd go to the beach Tuesday, Wednesday. Somebody, one of his idiot consultants, said he looks good in a bathing suit. He's 81 years old. Historically, Cary Grant didn't look good at 81 in a bathing suit. But he's 81 years old. He doesn't look good in a bathing suit. Not a lot of people look good in a bed. That's okay, but somebody thought he looked good. But then he couldn't lift the chair. You know those chairs are meant for children to lift. They weigh about 4 ounces, right? You know, they're made out of hollow aluminum. Really light. In fact, if you're heavy, they crash. They bend in. They don't weigh much. And he was... And then he couldn't get his feet out of the sand. This is not a good look, but all he had to do is leave our border alone, and he would have been in much better shape. We had the best border ever in the history of our country. In fact, there was a report that came out 2019. We had no terrorists reported, not one, which I think is wrong. Even I say I don't think you could do, but we had not one. Now we have thousands of terrorists coming into our country. All he had to do is leave my people there, leave the border alone. It was a total win. It was the best it's ever been, but he decided to give it up. I had a thing called stay in Mexico. You think that was easy? You couldn't come into our country. You had to stay. You think that was easy to get with Mexico? I had it, and I had it rough. It was rough stuff. I got it, and he ended it. No more stay in Mexico. It's stay in this country, and we find out who you are in 6 years. You come back for a trial. Nobody comes back. It's a horrible thing that he's done. He's destroying our country. He may have destroyed. We will get it fixed. We'll get it fixed as fast as humanly possible, maybe faster than anyone can even understand. But he's destroying our country. And don't forget, we've seen, and I'm not sure if many of you are big travelers or not, but we've seen what happened when Europe opened their doors to Jihad. Look at Paris. Look at London. They're no longer recognizable. And I'm going to get myself into a lot of trouble with the folks in Paris and the folks in London. But you know what? That's the fact. They are no longer recognizable. And we can't let that happen to our country. We have incredible culture, tradition. Nothing wrong with their culture, their tradition. We can't let that happen here. And I'll never let it happen to the United States of America. When I was president, I delivered 4 years of peace and prosperity. It's on my record, very easy to check. You know, when I ran in 2015, actually, most of the campaign in 2015 going into 2016, but when I ran, I didn't have a record. I mean, I had a record. I did great in business. I was a really good businessman, much better than, you know, if you listen to these idiots. But I did great. I mean, it did to this day. But you know what? I didn't have a record for running a country or anything. Now I do. I have a great record. We had peace. We had prosperity. We had no wars. We had no wars. I defeated ISIS and was the only president in 78 years that started no wars. We didn't have a war. We defeated ISIS, which they said was going to take 5 years, and I did it immediately in 1 month. I want to just tell you, our military is incredible. Not the guys you see on television. What happened in Afghanistan is the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, but our military is incredible. Now we have chaos, mayhem, and we have death all over. It's no wonder Joe Biden and his thugs are so desperate to stop us. They know that we are the only ones who can stop them. They know that. We're the only ones that can stop them. All of this persecution is only happening because I'm winning, I'm running, and I'm winning, and I'm winning by a lot. If I wasn't running... If I wasn't running or doing well, if I wasn't running, I wouldn't have more indictments than the great Alphonse Capone. Alphonse Capone. He killed people if they looked at him a little bit different. I don't like the way that guy looks. I don't like, kill that son of a bitch. He only got indicted once, I understand. Alphonse Capone, nice gentleman. I got indicted. Can you imagine my mother and father saying, I can't believe it. My son got indicted more than Al Capone. Scarface, for those of you that aren't familiar with the name Scarface. A scar from here to there. And it wasn't from playing tiddlywinks, was it, huh? In the latest Emerson poll, we're up 5 points in Wisconsin, and we're leading virtually every swing state by a lot. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election in 2024. We won't have a country left. And every time the radical left, Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. Thank you very much. Because I'm being indicted for you. I'm being indicted for you. I greatly appreciate it. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. I'm never going to let it happen. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. I just happen to be standing in the way, and I always will. From the very first day that we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden, I believe we're going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. We can turn it around again. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after we win the presidency, and it's we all together, it's a we, it's not me, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. I will get it settled quickly. Horrible war. Would have never happened if I was president. And by the way, October 7th, Israel would have never happened. Iran was broke. They had no money for terrorists, for Hamas, for Hezbollah. We will restore peace through strength like we're supposed to. We're supposed to be strong and powerful, and you don't have to use it just because you have it. I rebuilt the entire military. You don't have to use it because we have it. Kill people all over the place. Horrible, horrible. Spend billions and billions of dollars doing things for other countries that hate you. They don't even want you there. We're going to rebuild our cities and become a beacon of hope, safety, beauty, better than ever before. We're going to rebuild our cities. We're going to work with Democrat mayors who are running, in every instance, running them, Democrat mayors and many Democrat governors, and we're going to rebuild our cities. We're going to bring them back like they used to be, and we're going to make them safe places again. We're going to give our police their power back, and we're going to give them immunity from prosecution. So they're not prosecuted for doing their job. We'll take over the horribly run capital of our country, Washington, D.C., and clean up, renovate, and rebuild our capital city so that it's no longer a nightmare of murder and crime, but rather it will become the most beautiful capital anywhere in the world. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the lives of our children. I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or mask mandate. I will fully uphold our under siege Second Amendment. It is under siege like never before. We will protect innocent life, and we will restore free speech rapidly. And I will do something that's very important to me, maybe more important to me than any other person in the world. I will secure our elections, because you know what happened in 2012. Our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and voter ID. And we have a lot of checks and balances and a lot of things that they did, but we have a lot of checks and balances. But I'll tell you the best, we want to have a landslide that's too big to rig. You ever hear the expression? Too big to rig. There's a level at which they can't rig it, right? We got to get out and vote. We got to get out and vote. You got to, November 5th. November 5th. It will be the most important day in the history of our country. That's